Hello everyone and welcome to the 2022-2023 school year. This is our call to action. This year we need to do things differently. Our students are coming to us after a pandemic and being tested the past couple of years despite huge learning gaps. They have experienced some trauma. So we are going to look at education differently. How will we use social emotional learning and restorative practices to build a trauma-sensitive culture, improve student outcomes, and reduce negative behaviors? ACEs wild. ACEs are adverse childhood experiences or not okay events. ACEs include anything from experiencing bullying at school to the divorce or separation of parents. It could be mental or chronic illness of a family member at home. It could be the incarceration of a parent. Abuse, such as physical abuse or verbal abuse. Could be suffering through a natural disaster. It could be any number of things. The event itself is not what's important. What is important is how it affects the child. Anything that causes prolonged stress for that child is a traumatic event. There have been thousands of studies conducted, and the results have been pretty consistent. One study found that 45% of children aged 5 to 11 had experienced at least one ACE. 22% had experienced multiple ACEs, and 1 in 16 had an ACE score of 4 or more, which means that those young children had had 4 or more traumatic events in their lifetime already. Two similar studies with adults found that more than 90% of respondents had reported at least one lifetime traumatic event. So how are we going to be prepared for these students coming to us with trauma? Social emotional learning. So why social emotional learning? Let's watch this quick video to find out.
I'm a data guy, I like numbers, and we have a lot of evidence that social emotional learning has made a difference.
We had a graduation rate of 62%. Last year we put up a record-breaking 84%.
Over the last 5 years, our expulsions have been cut in half.
We were suspending about 13,000 days of out-of-school suspension. We were 10 times the average for any school district in Ohio. And within that first year alone, we were able to reduce our out-of-school suspensions by 55%.
Attendance rates went up. We know that attendance is directly correlated to academic improvement and achievement, but it also had other outcomes that were extremely important, which is students feeling more connected to schools, educators having to think outside the box, helping students overcome some of the challenges that are in their life.
There's an 11-to-1 return on investment. So for every dollar invested in programming around social emotional learning, we're seeing that they're saving $11 on remedial programs, dropout prevention. There's lots of reasons that people are coming to the conclusion that this is something that we need to be prioritizing.
Social emotional learning. So here's why we're going to do this. In schools where they have a social emotional curriculum, they saw an 11% increase in overall grades, academic core content grades. There was improved attendance, decrease in ISS and expulsions, which takes those students that are on the track to be in the juvenile justice system out of that track and puts them in a better path for life. Students with strong SEL competency are 50% more likely to graduate from high school and hold a full-time job by the age of 25. Students develop stronger relationships and sense of belonging, and they develop those soft skills needed for the future. Things like working together in a team, communicating effectively, problem solving. Trauma makes us forever changed, but not forever damaged. Social emotional learning can help us to heal and to continue to improve. Social emotional learning, what is it? SEL is how children learn to understand and manage their emotions, set goals, show empathy for others, establish positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. Let's watch this quick video.
Think about the young people in your lives and all the different places where they're learning about themselves, how to relate to others, and work together on goals.
How can we intentionally create learning experiences that will help all young people develop and maintain positive relationships, become lifelong learners, and contribute to a more caring, just world? Educators, researchers, community.
Alright, so since we don't have time in this presentation to watch the entire video, I'll continue on with just stating that in a real professional development, we would watch that entire video.
Community members, family.
Okay, so now we're going to take some time, now that we've gotten a short introduction to what SEL is, and we're going to explore the CASEL wheel. CASEL is the Collaborative for Social, Emotional, and Academic Learning. And they have a great website with some really valuable resources and information about social emotional learning. I have emailed to you this slide with these interactive group buttons that you can click on. As you came in the door, you were given a number. So we are going to form 9 groups. You'll find the people with the same number as you, and that will be your group. Group 1 will go to the Group 1 self-awareness link, and they will use that link to create an anchor chart over what they are learning. And same for Group 2, Group 3, and so on. So each group will create an anchor chart over their small portion of the wheel, and once we're finished, we're going to come back together and each group will present that little bit that they learned so that we all get a quick overview of what social emotional learning is. So we're going to take 15 minutes. We're going to grab our groups, grab some chart paper and markers, and get started. 15 minutes, go. And so on. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here for 15 minutes on this assignment to watch this video, but the music is fun. And it says, 2 things you are in total control of in life are your attitude and your effort. So after 15 minutes, my teachers would come back together and demonstrate and display their work. All right, so they come back together, they present all their respective parts, and I want you to see that they are linked. I guess you can't see that here. Anyway, all right, so a shift in discipline from traditional to restorative. So in addition to using social and emotional learning, we're going to shift the way that we discipline at our school. We use PBIS, but we're still seeing some pretty significant behavior problems from students that lack the social emotional skills to control their anger and to communicate their frustrations with their peers and solve problems. Restorative practices helps us to teach those skills students need in the school. So let's look at this quick little introduction to restorative approach.
Conflict is a fact of life. Wherever we live and whoever we spend our time with, none of us can avoid it or its consequences completely. But when we ignore the complex causes of conflict, we fail to prevent it from arising again. The pain and anxiety of it lingers. Many of us have come to fear conflict. The way it makes us feel, the way it erodes our self-esteem, damages our relationships, and impacts the people around us. When conflict arises, we often focus on who is right and who is wrong, who is the victim and who is the perpetrator, who broke the rules, who should apologise and who should be punished. By using restorative approaches, we can guide those involved to a genuine and lasting resolution, while at the same time equipping them with the skills to successfully navigate conflict throughout their lives. It takes patience, skill, and empathy to involve all parties, a commitment to listening hard and seeking common ground, but through restorative approaches.
And so on with that video. It lasts about 2.5 minutes. All right, so what are restorative practices in schools? Strategies that use the underlying principles of restorative justice instead of traditional punishment measures. So when we are looking at giving a child a punishment for their behavior, we're more focused on the annoyance of the teacher or trying to do something for the person that was hurt than meeting the needs of the student. Through restorative practices, students learn how to navigate conflict resolution, take ownership of their behavior, practice empathy and perspective taking, and demonstrate forgiveness. Restorative practices: when you know better, you do better. So the benefits of this is that when they're integrated into the school community, restorative practices promotes positive social emotional learning and supports the MTSS process. It helps with those tier 2 and tier 3 behavior supports for those students. It helps our students to build relationships, strives to be respectful to all, provides opportunity for equitable dialogue and decision making. Oftentimes, the person who was the perpetrator or committed the offense doesn't feel heard, so this process gives them the opportunity to be heard. It involves relevant stakeholders, and it addresses harms, needs, and obligations, and it encourages all people to take responsibility for their actions. In addition, it seeks to find a way for that person to make amends, to make it better, so that they can move on with a stronger relationship, learn from their mistakes, and do better in the future. All right, so this seems really overwhelming, I know. 2 completely different programs that we're going to be implementing. Well, let's just say that we're not going to do it all at once, and we're going to have a curriculum to help us. Caring School Community is a curriculum that was supported on the CASEL website, and according to CASEL, there's some evidence that shows that the program has the following benefits: improved academic performance, reduced problem behaviors, improved school climate and school connectedness, improved teaching practices, and other SEL skills and attitudes. The program provides a lot for the teachers and for the school. Its alignment of SEL and restorative practices are already built in. It has instructional practices, daily lessons, and positive classroom management strategies for each teacher. It has a school-wide systemic support, group structures, and peer mentoring for the school. It has community service learning. It has parental involvement activities and home resources. There's lots of professional development available, and there's even remote learning guidance should we have to go back to remote learning due to some other pandemic or problem. So where do we begin? First, let's take a look at this little cartoon. We have the little chick here that says, "I should make a to-do list today." The tasks feel a bit less overwhelming now that I've written them down. Wow, first thing already finished. Of course, the first thing is to make the to-do list. Yay, off to a great start. So I think that even though we are just beginning to talk about this program, we're already off to a great start. We know we've got to do something different. The very definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing and expect different results. Our kids are different, so we have to be different. So where do we begin? We have an SEL team, and that team is going to conferences and attending professional development opportunities in order to be coached so they can come back to be the coach. So we have 2 days planned for professional development in October and in November, where we're really going to be focusing on delving into these 2 programs and how we can get started on it and what we need to do to be successful. We're going to begin small things that we can do. Just start creating that culture and climate that is safe for our students and that builds those social emotional skills. And we're going to build up to it. We're going to dedicate 1 PLC per month to assess our program and offer additional training if needed and support for our staff and our students and our teachers. If we need to make adjustments during those times, then we'll do so. In addition, we're going to have a staff SEL support group that will meet 1 to 2 times per month to provide for the emotional support of the adults. So this will be done off campus at a time when we can gather together as like-minded educators and just support each other and help get past our own traumas and our own social emotional needs. Thank you for listening to my program. I've put a lot of time and research into it and really got interested in the topic. I really do hope that if I have my own school someday that I will be able to put this sort of program in place.